Well, it was really hard. I just worked really hard, trying to stay true, but also I had a great team. Margot and Megan have been, on board with this a while, and I think that I like comedy that does that, where you go deep and you have a real true story, and then jokes are that you're going for like the story rather than just piling a bunch of jokes on top of each other or stuff like that. Because I like, and just also just really digging into the humanity as much as I could,
Sure. And in terms of the audience, do you find Van Halen fans in the crowd? Who is coming?
Yes.
Are people coming who don't even know who these guys are?
Yes.
It's
everything in between. Everything in between. We had a woman stand up with a lighter. We had we have had such great audiences, and people have been having a really good time, whether they know of the band or not. And then we have some very, very staunch fans that seem to be having a really good time,
Sure.
So the audience says, we've been selling out. We're waiting to see what's going to happen, with the press and all that stuff.
Is there any chance to extend the run? Is there any
we have to
tour this?
Well, we have to wait and see what happens with the response.
Okay.
We have to wait and see. I mean, it's been selling like crazy.
Right.
But, we have to see how the press reacts and stuff like that. And then, we could go either way. We don't know. We never know. We just do our best.
Okay.
And then we'll take it from there.
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. There's a route that you can go with this show that most of your productions, I would imagine, at Atlantic don't really go. But you could actually tour this in clubs. And it's well done enough, and it's tight enough, and it's small enough in terms of your amount of players and set and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously, the set would have to be probably reduced for on tour production.
Sure.
You could tour this around clubs and draw for something like this because it's that well done and it's that unique. And you spent a lot of time on it, Amy. I mean, 3 years.
I know. I mean, I did other things.
No,
but
I know. But I do have to ask you, why is it that all the actors I interview tell me they're shy? What is the reason behind that? How could you be shy and be on stage for an hour and a half?
Well, that's one of the great mysteries of the world. We don't know.
It's like, why
I don't know.
Yellow.
I don't know.
So, what is the most fun part about being Eddie on stage? What would you say for you?
Well, I have to say that now that I know the music, because I didn't for a while, we just got it last minute. It is so much fun to do the air guitar, and it's so much fun to be on stage with everyone. It's fun. The whole thing is fun. It's really, really fun. I can't even explain it. It's just really fun.
And
I enjoy it.
In terms of the music, now obviously you can't use Van Halen music.
No, we got Michael Thurber, who's this great composer, composed all original music.
Right.
And we got a guitar player, Maddie Rice, who's this incredible guitar player to play the guitar. Yeah, she's really cool. Yeah, and So that's really fun.
So you have
it's really fun.
He wrote like Van Halen style music that is not Van Halen, so it gives you the flavor without it actually being the actual songs, because of obviously light.
No way. Yeah, exactly. No, we would never do that.
Also, you had a great set. Physical set, and it's very nicely detailed, and it has a great feel and look to it. It's got almost like that, kind of divey bar from back in the day, and it's got that vibe of the big speakers, the floor.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with that concept as well?
No.
Oh.
We have like a team of designers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, when you initially pitched this Did people think you were crazy? Because the band is not exactly in the forefront of the world right now. So, these guys are older rock stars, and they've had their career, and right now, they're sort of.
Oh yeah, people.
Were people like, what are you talking about?
I told my friends, I'm like, this is my subject, and they told me later, they're like, we didn't think you were serious. No, it was like, it was me. I just was really excited about it, and then I'd get bits of encouragement. Yeah, people thought I was crazy, but I was interested, so I didn't care. Well, and I'm glad because I think that it's a very important band, and I think that there's a resurgence of interest, and I feel like I'm happy to. And once again, it's a bunch of different inspirations, but I just think it's I'm just glad I followed through with it. I think it's really been fun.
Are you also drawing a non-theater crowd, or I should say a non-traditional?
Yes, we are.
Crowd? You are.
Yeah.
And how can you feel their energy a little more than an average crowd? Because
you can tell.
More, boisterous or something?
Well, it's just different. The laughs are different. There's more specific laughs. We get laughs for things like I'm not going to tell specific jokes, but you can tell when people know the story. They're like, oh yeah, or you can totally tell.
Van Halen, heavy metal music, any kind of rock music is what I call high velocity folk. I look at heavy metal music, Van Halen's brand, rather, of heavy metal music as a combination of religion and hockey.
Hey folks, I'd like to introduce you to the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast. Welcome to the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast, where no stone is left unturned in the show's epic quest to review and dissect every single rock album ever made. Join self-proclaimed rock authorities Chris Carson and Lee Bowie on their epic journey to uncover the true classics. You can find the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast wherever podcasts can be found, including Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Our website address is classicrockalbumbyalbum.libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN.com. And we can be reached on Facebook at fb.me/Classic Rock Album by Album. See you soon from the Classic Rock Album by Album podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Eric Broadbent from Aviation Gear TV, and you are listening to Dave and Dave Unchained.
Rock fans are very fragile units. They're very fragile mechanisms. Rock bands are like dogs who chase cars. They make a lot of noise, but they don't get a lot of attention, but they don't last too long. So we'll see what happens with Van Halen.
Okay, we'd like to welcome Megan Hill, who plays David Lee Roth in the new play, Eddie and Dave. Welcome, Megan. How has the run been going so far?
It's been going good. It's very exhausting. Being Dave is very exhausting.
I can imagine.
but it's been going really great. The audiences have been amazing. It's interesting each night to kind of gauge whether it's more people coming because they're Van Halen or fans of the genre,
right,
or if it's theater people, or if it's a mix of both. We had one performance a few days ago where I felt like we had arrived because I think there was a lot of fans in the audience, and a woman during curtain call stood with a lighter. So I was like, okay.
That's great. That's great.
We did a good job.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me, prior to doing this show, how familiar were you with David Lee Roth and Van Halen?
Growing up, I was a big MTV. I was a child of the 80s.
Okay.
So MTV was everything. I mean, my parents never censored anything from us, so I don't remember a point in my childhood where I wasn't watching MTV.
Mm-hmm.
I love music videos,
right.
So that was really my foray into Van Halen and into heavy metal and into so many different genres of music.
Right. Were you a Van Halen fan?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time seeing the Hot for Teacher video, and I thought it was like the best thing ever.
That's great.
Which, my feminist mother was like, "What is this?"
I can imagine.
But I related, like, I thought it was like the whole kid thing was so fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
and the video, it was just so fun. And then California Girls, I thought was there was just this bombast, this humor, but also just like that heavy metal sound, which I loved, and continued to love. Like, I mean, I remember in middle school running home every day to watch Hanging with MTV and catch like Guns N' Roses November Rain video, because it fucking blew my mind.
That's great.
So when their Best Of album came out, I got it, and I listened to it. I was living in Seattle at the time, and listened to it driving. When I dated a drummer, I remember asking him, we were listening to Hot for Teacher, and I remember asking him, "Can you drum that fast?" He was like, yes, I can.
That's great. So now, when Amy approached you with playing the role of David Lee Roth, what was your first initial impression?
Yes, please. I think, for actors, and I think especially like for a lot of female actors, for us, it's not so much as like we're women playing men, as these are amazing characters to play, and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And actually works better because we're never going to look like them. We're never going to actually. So in some ways, it allows the audience to have this separation from the real people. For the audience, there's already a separation, so then they can actually almost hear the story in a purer way.
Sure. And I also think by having the women play the men, and obviously the one gentleman, Abbas, play the female, I think you guys tend to bring out attributes that most males wouldn't bring out. Like, for example, I think you pick up on things and highlight them that most males wouldn't do because you have a different perspective. Would you agree?
I think so in a way. And, we're not playing at them. Like, we really have thought so much about this story and these relationships. Yeah, I think there are certain elements where, if you're coming at it from like a macho or machismo place, then it might be, like you have this idea of how it went down, but actually I think there's a lot more vulnerability.
Oh, sure.
Especially, they've known each other since they were in high school.
Right.
And then you go through something in your life that no one else in the world can relate to except for the four people in that room.
Right. Yeah.
And so that the vulnerability and the complications of love and friendship and friction, and when you need each other and that, like, one can't be feigned without the other.
Right.
It's a really fun and fascinating story and relationship to explore.
Absolutely. And so tell me, what kind of research did you do to get into Dave's skin, and what were some of the most surprising things that you learned about him?
Well, one of the things I did was I started training with a personal trainer.
Oh, wow.
months ago.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't be a schluppy David Lee Roth. That just won't do.
Right.
We watched, a lot of interviews, documentaries, read his book, read his screenplay, read the Noel Monk book, Running with the Devil.
Right.
And then just, a part of it is watching all this stuff, and then the other part of it is just letting go and using your imagination.
Right.
So, taking certain elements that will carry me through, like his, part of his speech pattern.
Right.
Or certain tics that he has.
Uh-huh.
But then the rest has to be, I can only be me, it's only coming from me.
Right.
So I have to use my imagination and take, certain points. Like, one of my favorite anecdotes is the one about Rothing the stage, about how he would, in towns, like, go to stadiums and takes the hotel towel and wash the stage on his hands and knees at like 4 a.m. when no one was in the stadium. and that they called it Rothing the stage. And it's like, oh, that's where I can totally see that. Because then it's like, then he knows every centimeter of the stage.
Right.
And that's his.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see like how his martial arts training came into that.
Sure.
And then I saw this really beautiful Opie and Anthony, is that the radio show?
Yep.
There's a really beautiful interview with him, like maybe 4 years ago, where he just talks about how from day one, him and Eddie had this friction, like it's like when two sumo wrestlers collide.
Right.
And he has this moment where he talks about how no one's as hard on Eddie as Eddie is on himself, and no one's hard as Dave is on himself.
Right.
And that he'll have these moments where he just puts his head in his hands and